Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, 'tis I, Michael A. Grimm, aka the Multi-Voice. I have many voices, but one opinion. And, I know May 4th has passed, but today is May 8th. And why am I doing this on May 8th? Well, I like to go one step beyond. But, since I did that whole Star Wars review trilogy, if any of you have never seen my old, Star Wars trilogy review I did years and years ago, it was during the time that I was honoring a dear friend of mine who died in a car accident. She was the one who asked me to review Star Wars, which I didn't have any of the DVDs or Blu-rays at the time until my mom was nice enough to give me them and made me review all those Star Wars franchise. I talk about all three of the movies, and then I talk about the franchise before and after, and the Dark Horse comics, and before Marvel owned the rights, since Disney owned both Star Wars and Marvel. And I had to say, I don't think Star Wars ain't doing too good on Disney. I mean, the only saving grace so far is, of course, The Mandalorian, and I hear a lot of good things about The Mandalorian. Heck, I got so interested. Now, I don't have Disney Plus, but I was interested in getting these. Got a Mandalorian figure. Got the Baby Yoda. And also, got the girl. Because I thought they were the most popular character in the Star Wars franchise. And I know about the, they did the Skywalker series, and they did, Ahsoka, and tons of others that I haven't talked about because it was years ago. But that was my little update of what I did for you guys. So now this is me putting all together, all the Star Wars trilogy together in one big video. So I hope some of you will enjoy me reminiscing. And it was back then before I discovered editing. And back then I just used, printed out paper to show you what I'm talking about before I started using editing. So, I hope you enjoy some of my old videos of my review of Star Wars, and, see you next week. Hey everyone, Michael A. Grimm here, aka Multi-Voice Reviewer. And before I'm going to get this show started, I'm going to pay a tribute, because I'm dedicating this review as a tribute to one of my dear friends and fan of mine. You see, a long time ago, there was a girl who was a dear friend of mine, and when she started watching my show on Facebook, she became a very nice fan of my show. And the one thing that she requested was Star Wars, but sadly I couldn't get the DVDs or Blu-rays of them at first. But sadly, after 3 or 4 years ago, she died in a car accident, and it did bother me a lot. So I'm dedicating this review to Sam Boyer. Now was her name. I don't know what she would think if she was alive, but I know she will appreciate this, and probably this video might go all the way to heaven. The Lord works in mysterious ways, folks, so who knows. So, may you rest in peace, Sam Boyer. So, let's get the show started, shall we? Well, looks like everything seems to be good. Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, 'tis I, Multi-Voice Michael A. Grimm, aka Multi-Voice Reviewer. I have many voices, but one opinion. And, according to my outfit, and according to my Doctor Who watch I have here, this Doctor Who watch, according to my Doctor Who watch, Another sci-fi review time. Now, what exactly am I going to review here, ladies and gentlemen? Oh yeah, Star Wars. Since I finally have all three of the movies, this one's on DVD, but the other two is going to be on Blu-ray. So for today's review, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a three-parter. So I'm going to call this Star Wars Trilogy Part 1. And stay tuned for the others. I will review them soon. So before I'm going to get to Star Wars, first, a little history. Say, wait a minute. Since this is going to be a Star Wars, I think I should trade up my sonic screwdriver for a sonic lightsaber. Huh, what do you know? I got a lightsaber. Whoa. Huh. Although I don't like the color green on my lightsaber, because, well, when I was you see, back then, I was a Star Wars fan. Back then, I used to be a huge Star Wars fan. I think I should put this thing away before I hurt somebody. Now, how can you turn this off? Oh, that's good. You see, back then when I was into Star Wars, I only liked the dark side. I always liked the Sith. But after seeing what they did in Execute Order 66, which I'm going to mention, I just stop getting into Star Wars. And I kind of turned my back away from Star Wars for a long, long time. But due by the demand of my fans, let's just say, when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. I thought I would turn my back away from Star Wars and never get into it anymore. But due to the demands of some of my fans, especially one who passed away, they pulled me back in. And I got back on Star Wars, ladies and gentlemen. But of course, back then, I was more into the Sith. I was interested in the Emperor. I was interested in Darth Vader. I was interested in all the bad guys in the Star Wars franchise. Until after what happened in Order 66, I decided to get out of the dark side and try to get into the light side. And now I like Yoda and Alia Sakura, which I'm going to mention on my other Star Wars review. So now, I got 3 movies, and I'm getting it back into popularity. Now, of course, George Lucas didn't thought up the whole idea of Star Wars, because there were other Star Wars franchise that became an inspiration to his Star Wars thing. He has a bit of John Carter, which in the original book was called Princess of Mars. I still think this movie demands some sequels, damn it, because this is underrated. And he also was a huge fan to a certain comic book, a sci-fi comic book from Berlin, Valerian and Laureline, which, as you can see, according to this, everything on Star Wars was taken from Valerian comics. I mean, see the similarities here. See what I mean, folks? As if this were going to happen. Star Wars meet Valerian Laureline. Like that's ever going to happen. And all of a sudden they made this, and then they made this movie based from the comic books, Valerian. Another movie that I think deserves another remake as well, because this movie is also underrated too. Ingrate jerks. I mean, I really like this movie. This movie is really, really good. And I was really impressed by Rihanna's performance in this. But now I keep on hearing everybody saying that this Valerian movie ruined Star Wars. Bullshit. Ruined franchise. Can you believe that's that kind of nonsense? And for those of you who disagree with me, shame on you. Shame on you. And also took a couple of other things from this sci-fi famous book, Dune. I mean, if any of you ever read the book, there's a lot of similarities between Star Wars and Dune. Now, I haven't seen the movie that David Lynch made, but I've been watching the TV series, and I think the TV series are pretty good. But I haven't seen the David Lynch one, and I know some of you kind of warn me not to see David Lynch Dune, but you're not warning me enough. And if I ever see that movie Dune, I'll probably review it. Besides, I'm getting kind of interested in that Dune stuff. Now I hear that they're planning to do a brand new Dune movie, and this time the main hero is now a female in that movie. Oh great, make the main character change the gender of the main hero. Why don't you? Well, I am getting sick and tired of people thinking that every male superhero are gay, like Sherlock Holmes and Watson and Batman and Robin. And also the biggest homage of all that George Lucas put in his Star Wars franchise is, of course, the famous TV serial Buck Rogers. How about that? And you know, a little known fact. Did you know when De Laurentiis made this movie, George Lucas thought it was a front to his creation? And they were planning to make 3 of these movies, but due to the certain disagreement between De Laurentiis and the actor who played Flash Gordon, Sam J. Jones, due to certain disagreements they both have, they were never able to make the sequel or the trilogy of Flash Gordon. And now I heard that there was a brand new Flash Gordon they were planning to make, but sadly it got canceled. I think I blame that on George Lucas. But another part of history that not many people made, when George Lucas added all that together to his Star Wars, he had a really brilliant artist who goes by the name of Ralph McQuarrie. Ralph McQuarrie here. He was the one who did the designs to George Lucas' creation of Star Wars. Now, his original creation wasn't from the original Star Wars. It was a totally different story in George Lucas's version of Star Wars. His version would be way more different. And here's the original design of his original Star Wars. Now this one was created by a diehard fan who decided to do George Lucas's version of Star Wars. So they made a fan-made trailer of the original, the Star Wars that George Lucas reimagined. Well, he didn't reimagine. This is what he originally imagined before they changed it, before Hollywood changed it. But if you guys want to know the original Star Wars, the original idea and the original design that George Lucas made, you should look up to this comic book from Dark Horse Comics, The Star Wars, with the original characters that George Lucas created. And check out the review of this comic book by my favorite comic book critic, Linkara. He's the one who reviewed it. But anyway, enough with all the background and the history. Let's get to the movie, shall we? Now, turns out that there is this evil empire is now taken over, and always have this legendary Darth Vader. You don't know the power of the dark side. Anyway, there was a huge battle, and C-3PO and R2-D2 made their escape, but Princess Leia, played by Carrie Fisher, was kidnapped. Oh yeah, and James Earl Jones did the voice of Darth Vader. Anyway, C-3PO and R2-D2 escaped and landed in this desertous planet, and who lives there is, of course, young Luke Skywalker, played by the legendary Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill's a really good actor, and I hear that he's a really great guy. I saw him doing his appearance. I saw him appeared in the Hollywood street dressed up as a stormtrooper and not letting the fans know. I mean, and even I do remember Mark Hamill doing the voice of the legendary Joker. Can Batman come out and play? But enough about Joker, let's get to Star Wars, shall we? Anyway, C-3PO and R2-D2 was captured by these little hooded, bright eyes critters called the Jawas until they were picked up by Luke Skywalker and his uncle. And of course, his uncle starts acting a little odd, like he knows about his father and doesn't want Luke to do the same like his father does. And of course, C-3PO had a video message from Princess Leia saying, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope." So, Luke, C-3PO, and R2-D2 came across Obi-Wan Kenobi, going like, "Come here, little friend. You are safe." Since they were ambushed by desert people. And of course, Luke and Obi-Wan starts listening to the video. And now, Luke want to know about his father, and he says, "Your father, Anakin Skywalker, was the greatest Jedi I ever known. He was my pupil. Until somebody named Darth Vader murdered your father and destroyed the Jedis one by one. And then they decided to find a pilot to get themselves out of this one planet in order to battle against the Empire." You know, it's kind of odd that the Empire, all the bad guys in the Empire have British accents. And of course, they have the legendary Peter Cushing playing an evil general. I think he's a general. But anyway, I mean, thank God they have Christopher Lee on the latest Star Wars movies, which I'm going to get to later. But anyway, they found Chewbacca, and also Han Solo, played by the legendary Harrison Ford, that a lot of people do know from Indiana Jones. That belongs in a museum. Anyway, he has a debt from that big, giant, frog-like guy, goes by the name of Jabba the Hutt. I'm sorry, I just wanted to add the nipple pinchy part because it's so funny when I say it. I always make my grandma laugh every time I say it when I do my Jabba the Hutt impression. Nipple pinchy. Anyway, Han Solo is only interested in money. He's going to help them, depends on how much they're going to pay him. So they found the princess, and he hates the princess because the way she's been bossing him around. But we're hinting that Princess Leia is going to like Han Solo. And Luke and Leia don't know their brother and sisters yet. I know some of you who have watched the movie before, and I know I'm not one for spoilers, but what the hell. Everybody have seen the movie so many times, you all would know by now. But anyway, they got into the Death Star, this giant planet-like spaceship, and while Han Solo, Chewbacca, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and also R2-D2 and C-3PO are trying to find a way to get themselves out of here, Obi-Wan Kenobi was trying to find Darth Vader. And then, all of a sudden, they finally got to Darth Vader, and it becomes a lightsaber battle. The old, "I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan. We meet at last, so the circle is complete. And now,
I am a master!
Only a master of evil, Darth.
Your powers are weak, old man. You should not have come.
And then after the little battle between Han Solo, I mean, not Han Solo, but Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi, they're about ready to make their escape, but Obi-Wan Kenobi looked at Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, so he posed like this while Darth Vader struck the final blow, and like what Obi-Wan Kenobi says, "You may kill me, but I'll be more powerful than you can ever imagine, Darth." But after he did kill them, he was right. He became a ghost. Anyway, now Luke Skywalker feels kind of bad for losing his mentor, the only person who knows about his father. But now they had to go to the rebel, the one who is against the Empire, and they found a lot of information that can destroy that starship. They already destroyed one planet, Alderaan. So now they're planning to go after the rebel base. So the only way they need to get to it is they need to shoot their missiles into this hole. It gets into their engine core, and then boom. Boom goes the bad guy. And then the ghost of Luke Skywalker, the ghost of Obi-Wan Kenobi says, "Use the Force, Luke. Use the Force." So, and of course, Darth Vader started noticing, saying, "The Force is strong with this one." And he keeps trying to fire his gun at him, but keeps missing until Han Solo showed up, helping out the troops, and fired one of the bad guys' ship, causing Darth Vader's ship to go twirling around, dizzy and such. And Luke finally destroyed the ship, and boom goes them. And then that was the end of New Hope. And I know some of you are thinking, am I going to be doing the Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi? This is a three-parter, folks. So I'm going to do Empire Strikes Back in part 2 and Return of the Jedi on part 3. So hold your horses. But one thing I do remember, when I was really young, when I did got myself into Star Wars, I remember back then they made all 3 of the prequel movies: Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Jedi. You were the chosen one! You were supposed to destroy them, not join them! I wish I say that to Liu Kang on Mortal Kombat. But I haven't seen any of those prequels. I mean, I only saw a couple of clips. But after seeing Order 66, it made me regret liking the dark side, and I should have become a Jedi instead. But there were some side Star Wars franchise movies they made back then that not many people don't even know about. Like, there are Star Wars Ewok Avenger, like, the Coven of Charge, and the Battle of Endor. And this is the movie they made. Of course, those Ewok movies, they decided to make a cartoon series, so they made Star Wars Animated The Ewoks, which was a short-lived series along with this one. Star Wars Animated The Droids, which is a C-3PO and R2-D2 story, take place before New Hope. And of course, there was another Star Wars movie they made, which a lot of people say that is not canon, but there's a lot of diehard nerds who wishes it is canon. And that is, I cannot believe they made this, Star Wars Holiday Special. The worst Star Wars movie out of the whole franchise. And everybody's saying that they want this movie not to be canon, even though it has B. Arthur, not Tim Conway, but Harvey Korman and Art Carney in it. And of course, everybody remembers Harvey Korman, who plays 3 characters and there was one where he has three arms and saying stow whip, whip, stow wee. Oh god, that's pathetic. But anyway, and then in the comic books, Marvel temporarily owned the rights of Star Wars, so Marvel did their comic book adaptation of Star Wars, and it was before Dark Horse owned the rights and before Disney, who owns Marvel, owns Star Wars. Which I'm going to be talking about that on my third volume. I mean, on my third part. But one thing I thought was really interesting that I saw, this one who was a die-hard Star Wars fan made his version of Star Wars, but it's not in a sci-fi world. It's a steampunk world called Steam Wars. I don't have the comic book itself, but I seen the review of it and other people who review it. And I gotta say, the steampunk version of Star Wars, also known as Steam Wars, it looks very interesting in a steampunk way. Imagine that. Well, this is the end of part 1, so you guys stay tuned. And this is my review so far. And if did I leave anything out, well, wait until I do part 2 and 3 to mention them. So for those of you who likes this first part of Star Wars Trilogy so far, please leave a comment down below, hit like and subscribe. And also, may the Force be with you. Yeah! Hello there, my dear friends. It's I, the ghost of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Multi-voice reviewers, master. I sense great things, something special about multi-voice reviewer, but I sense the Emperor is planning to do something with multi-voice reviewer. So I'm hoping my friend Yoda would train him more to not be tempted by the dark side like he did in the past. And the color of his lightsaber shouldn't have been green, it should be purple. Any Jedi who has a purple lightsaber has a combined power of both light and dark. That is a Jedi fact. So thank you for enjoying the review. Oh, hey everyone. Good to see you here. Well, since you were patient enough, and I do appreciate all the views and comments from my first review, and thank you for those of you who gave me a compliment to one of my dear friends and to my dear friend and fan of mine. So let's get the rest started, shall we? And one thing I'm going to be reviewing for you today. Oh, and I can't get that song out of my head, the one that Weird Al Yankovic made. Weird Al Yankovic's Saga Begins. The song that goes, my, this here Anakin guy. Maybe Vader someday later, but he's just a small fry. He left his home and kissed his mommy goodbye, saying, soon I'm gonna be a Jedi. Soon I'm gonna be a Jedi. Yeah. Look how that turned out. He did become a Jedi. Then after that, he joined the dark side.
He was the chosen one! He was supposed to bring balance to the Force! He was supposed to destroy the dark side, not join them!
But anyway, I already gone through watching The Empire Strikes Back, so this is the one you all been waiting for. But I sense something. Someone is here. Who goes there?
Fear not, Master Yoda. 'Tis I, Yoda.
Master Master Yoda, what are you doing here?
I sense the dark side. Since the spirit of Obi-Wan Kenobi contacted me. I sense the dark side is trying to get back to you. Yes.
Yeah, but, I don't worry. The dark side is not taking any control with me. I'm pretty much aware of the dark side. Although I still think I should have the purple lightsaber instead of green, because I still have the power of the dark side within me. But my heart is in the right place of the light side.
Cocking may not. You must continue review. And I'll see the dark side don't get to you at all.
Well, I do appreciate that, Master Yoda, and thanks.
Indeed. Force be with you, you must.
Thank you, Master Yoda. Anyway, let's get to the review, shall we? Now, it all started when Luke Skywalker was riding one of those two-legged goat-like critters. I don't know what their names are. While the Sith riding them out in the snow planet where most of the rebels are at, until all of a sudden the Sith have been sending these trackers to spread out to see if any of the rebels are at. But Luke all of a sudden got attacked by this abominable man-like monster who already ate his animal and left Luke hanging upside down with his legs frozen on the ceiling of the ice cave. But as the monsters start coming after Luke, the Force was with him and grabbed the lightsaber and cut the creature's arm off, and then he cut himself down. And since some of the rebels couldn't even sense Luke at all, and it's getting dark, so Han took another animal and went out to find Luke. And then therefore he found him, and the spirit of Obi-Wan Kenobi showed up, and Obi-Wan said, "You must go to Dagobah to meet Master Yoda." Dagobah.
Huh. Last time I was at a Dagobah, I was having the beer with the little leagues. I get no respect at all. Man, even in the galaxy far away, I get no respect.
I love doing Rodney Dangerfield. Anyway, Han Solo found Luke, and Luke kept going on saying Yoda and Dagobah, so Han Solo decided to help Luke by cutting open the animal who died by frozen to death. He cut his gut open and put Luke inside to keep him warm, and he said, "It's a lot stinkier than the outside." Meanwhile, Luke and Han finally made up to the base, and it turned out that most of the Empire are ready to attack, and they have these giant mechanical camels going after them. Yeah, these things. It looks like camels here. And of course, most of the bad guys are trying to go after him, and they shot this laser. It looks like a giant boob. Well, you know me. I always kept describing everything. Anyway, after the whole battle, battling against those mechanical things, the rebel is about ready to lose, so they have to flee. Now, Han, Leia, C-3PO, and Chewbacca, they have to go to another place so they can hide. And Han Solo decided to go to his friend named Orlando Calrissian, played by the legendary Billy D. Williams. And he's like the only black character in the Star Wars franchise before Samuel L. Jackson, who played Mace Windu in the prequel. And while Luke Skywalker, he took R2-D2 with him to go to Dagobah to find Yoda. And when he finally landed on Dagobah, Yoda showed up, and he starts teaching him the ways of the Force, try to keep balance and such. And then all of a sudden, Luke sensed something is going to happen. While at the same time, Han Solo, Leia, and Chewie, and C-3PO
they hid inside of a meteorite hole, but it turns out it's an esophagus of some alien, so they had to get out of here before they get swallowed. And they finally landed on the Orlando Calrissian's place, a floated space station above the clouds. Which, I gotta say, that's neat. Anyway, Luke Skywalker, who practiced on the Force, sensed something wrong. There's some sort of danger going on with Leia and Han, so he has to go. But of course, it turns out Luke was right. Because C-3PO was blasted apart, and Chewbacca had to find his parts and try to get him back together. And when Lando take him to his place for dinner, it was a trap. It's a trap! Han Solo fired his laser at Darth Vader, but he was like, grabbed his gun, and there was the legendary Boba Fett. And now, one thing I gotta say, Boba Fett was one of the most popular characters in the Star Wars franchise. Even everybody likes the character Boba Fett, but I'll talk more about him later. Maybe on my next review, the third one. But anyway, Boba Fett is one of the bounty hunters who wants to get Han Solo so they can take him to Jabba the Hutt, so Jabba can do whatever he wants with Han. And Darth Vader, he had a brilliant idea. He's going to put Luke's... Now, he also has a message from the Emperor and telling him that he's one of the Skywalkers. And the Force within him is a lot stronger than he ever imagined.
Ah, yes. I sense strong presence on the Force, and I do sense the same thing with Multi-Voice Reviewer. Back then when he was into Star Wars, he was more into the dark side. He would have been a perfect ally. But sadly, after my Execute Order 66 from Revenge of the Sith, he turned his back against the dark side, and for that he will pay.
I thought I sensed something evil. But anyway, the show must go on. So, Darth Vader decided to test something. They decided to put Han Solo in a frozen bicarbonate. They were using him to a guinea pig before they're going to use it on Luke. And now Han Solo, who is so peeved about Orlando betraying him, but Orlando knew the error of his ways, so he decided to turn his back against the Emperor now, the Empire. Do what's right, instead of betraying his best friend. Anyway, when Han Solo was about ready to be frozen bicarbonate, Leia said, "I love you." And Han Solo said, "I know." And then when they frozen him, he went like this. Oh yeah, and also I did saw another scene, Leia kiss Luke, and they still don't know they're brother and sister. Okay. But she only did that just to make Hans jealous, because obviously she really likes Han, and Han really likes her. But he acts like an egotistical jackass. She even called him a scruffy nerve herder, and he says, "Who you calling scruffy?" Anyway, they frozen Han Solo to frozen bicarbonate, and they're going to send him to Jabba the Hutt, using him as a trophy. And he's still alive, so there's hope to save him. And as Orlando helped Chewbacca and Leia and C-3PO to escape, Luke Skywalker finally got into the base, got into Orlando's place, and went one-on-one with Darth Vader. And fighting pursued. until Darth Vader cut his hands off, and he keeps trying to tempt Luke by saying, "Join the dark side, and with you and I, we can destroy the Emperor and rule the galaxy." Obi-Wan Kenobi didn't tell you. And Luke says, "I know what you did. You killed my father." And here's a famous line of all, which now is becoming very cliche. Darth Vader says, "No, Luke, I am your father." "That's not true. That's impossible." "Feel it inside. You know that it's true." "No!" And then Luke, instead of taking Darth Vader's hand, he jumped off the edge and landed on one of the satellites under the ship until he uses the Force to communicate with Leia, and Leia tells Orlando to turn the ship around. They finally got Luke and about ready to make out of here. And Darth Vader trying his best to use the Force to connect with Luke, but Luke still resents him, but still goes on saying, "Ben Kenobi, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me that Lord Vader is my father?" And I remember that the ghost of Obi-Wan Kenobi walked up to Yoda and he says, "He is our last hope, remember?" And Yoda says,
No, there is another.
hinting Leia. Because I do sense some Force involving with Leia. But anyway, back to the story. Since they finally gave Han Solo a new hand, and Chewbacca and Orlando, they got to their ship and ready to go get Han back. But there's one thing I do have a problem. Why is Orlando wearing Han Solo's clothes? Honestly, folks, look in the original movie. Orlando, aka Billy Dean Williams, is wearing Han Solo's clothes. It's weird. Really is. But anyway, and that was the end of The Empire Strikes Back. Now, one thing I gotta say, that after The Empire, a lot of Star Wars references have been spreading throughout the entire franchise, you know? Like, for instance, if you ever watched the movie E.T. Extraterrestrial, yeah, that was another movie I have, but I haven't come around to review this yet, but I may review E.T. sooner or later. But if you look real close in the movie, Elliot has Star Wars action figures, and then when they were going trick-or-treat and E.T. was inside of a ghost costume, he saw somebody who looked exactly like Yoda, and Yoda was like, "Home, home, home." And of course, if you look at the Revenge of the Sith, you can when there is this huge council that Palpatine's making a speech of, you look real close, you can see a whole bunch of ET creatures out there cheering to Palpatine. Imagine that.
E.T. phone home. E.T. phone home.
Don't worry, ET, we'll take you home sooner or later. Anyway, and most of the Star Wars franchise are getting... one thing I did remember that after the prequel was done, and since Disney owned the rights to Star Wars, they decide to make trilogy sequels. Like The Force Awakening, The Last Jedi, and Rise of the Skywalker. Although there's a lot of people who criticize that they're not good. They're as worse as the prequels, but I don't know. You fans, what do you think? But there's one thing I remember. Back then, Dark Horse owned Star Wars, and they did a lot of comic books. Oh, before I get to the comic books, one thing I do remember. Now, I never watched Star Wars, but this is what I watched, and some of you remember my review. Spaceballs.
Spaceballs! Watch out, we're the Spaceballs! We're the masters of space! Don't mess around. We're the Spaceballs! Watch out!
If any of you haven't seen my review of Spaceballs, I can put a link or a thumbnail to it. And of course, everybody remembers the series made after that. But I grew up watching Spaceballs, but not Star Wars. But anyway, what I have here, folks, I have my own collection of Star Wars comics. All Dark Horse. I have Star Wars number 0, which has got to be the original comic book that they were making, like a comic book adaptation. Comic book adaptation of Star Wars Episode 1. And of course, here's a future one. Did you know that there were on the Dark Horse comics, on the Dark Horse comics, Luke Skywalker fell in love with a girl goes by the name of Mara Jade, and only appeared in one Star Wars video game. But what I have here is Star Wars, the wedding of Luke and Mara unite. And I also have the final part out of a 4-page series where Luke Skywalker married Myra. Oh yeah, and I also have this issue. Sort of a backstory of the one with the hat before he was slaughtered by the Clone Wars. I mean the clone troops. But these are my collections of Star Wars comics. But there is one I don't have that I would like to have is, of course, Star Wars Shadow of the Empire. And it takes place after The Empire Strikes Back. And they did do a PC and a Nintendo 64 version of the game. In the game, you meet this Han Solo-like character who goes by the name of Dash Render. That's him. And you start battling against this bad guy who is a rival to Darth Vader. Now, he is a green-skinned alien who goes by the name of Prince Savar. But, of course, at the end of the game, Dash battled against him and defeated Prince Savar. Now, they say he's destroyed, and one thing I kept noticing about the prince here, he has this pheromone. So, he met Princess Leia, and his pheromones made her irresistible to him. Like, she finds him very sexy, and he was about ready to vamp him until C-3PO interrupted. So, oh, hey, Prince. Sorry things didn't go well with you on Shadow of the Empire.
It's okay. Besides, joining the Empire wasn't good enough for me anyway. I decided to join another group, a group that they welcome any alien species throughout the galaxy.
Oh yeah, what's that? Jedi? The Federation?
Oh, multi-voice. Scientology.
Scientology? Okay. Actually, I think you will fit right in, and have Tom Cruise have a run for his money. Maybe very green with envious. Well, good luck on that, Prince.
Thank you, reviewer. Now, if you excuse me, I must go. Ladies?
Anyway, Dark Horse have been around doing these comic book series, and even they did a 6-part page series of Star Wars called The Dark Empire, which that must be the very first Star Wars comic book that Dark Horse have ever done. And of course, I also noticed that Star Wars used to be owned by 20th Century Fox before George Lucas decided to make a deal with Disney. And now Disney owned 20th Century Fox. Let's hope that Disney doesn't own Alien and Predator. Let's pray to God that doesn't happen. Anyway, somebody decided to do like a animated series. It takes place between episode 2 and 3. So they made an animated series of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, a 2D cartoon animated series, until they made a 3D animated one. Now, some of you always kept saying you always are attracted to Carrie Fisher, aka Princess Leia or Natalie Portman, but to me, I'm not attracted to Leia or Natalie Portman. The only alien species that I'm very attracted to, it pretty much lures me, is the Twi'lek. Yeah, I did a little fan art. Some Twi'lek is offering me a cup of tea, and I'm being very tempted. Actually, that's one thing that can allure me. If you have a Twi'lek with a cup of tea, I'm head over heels. And that is my second favorite character. I mean, Yoda is my number one favorite, but my second favorite is that Twi'lek Jedi named Alia Secura. I mean, she is the most sexiest Twi'lek alien woman I've ever met. And, well, I'll tell you about Revenge of the Sith later, because there was one scene in the episode that I felt pretty heartbroken when I saw it. And also, this alien is very attractive here. Shakti. Can't pronounce her alien species, but sadly, in the movie, I mean, in the third movie, you don't see her death, but there's a deleted scene where Anakin Skywalker sneak up to her when she was meditating and stabbed her. You even show that in the Star Wars Lego games. But there were certain video games that I like to try. I heard about this Star Wars: The Old Republic, a PC game. And this one, you can choose to be a Sith or a Jedi. And if I ever played any of those games, just like the Mass Effect games here, since the guys who created the Knights of the Old Republic made this game, you can have a relationship with a Twi'lek girl or the other alien girl. And that would be my dream come true. I already gone through my alien romance on Mass Effect. Even though I have Mass Effect Andromeda, I still don't have a PS4, damn it! My grandma thought she bought one, but it turned out it was defected. It didn't show anything in the screen, it was broken. So I think I need a better PS4 game before PS5 starts taking over. Anyway, this is my review of Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. So if you like this review so far, please leave a comment down below, hit like and subscribe. And, well, you know what I have to do. The third and final one will be coming soon, so stay tuned. As for me, I got some more ass to kick. Yeah, what? Ha! Jeff! Here! Ha! Hello, everybody. Just going through my battles, ladies and gentlemen. But there's one thing that kind of bothers me, folks. I came across a word that it was in the Star Wars movie. And one thing I want to know. I hear now everybody is saying that McClunky is a thing. McClunky is supposed to be something important in Star Wars. But one thing I want to know, what the hell does McClunky mean? I mean, I don't even know what the hell it is. I mean, I hear some people say McClunky should be a thing, McClunky is something. I mean, ever since Greedo, who, before he fire his laser, he says McClunky, and then the whole shooting thing start. I just don't even know what the hell that means. Some of you better leave a comment down below and tell me what the hell does clunky mean. Well, anyway, besides that whole McClunky got to do, well, folks, it's time for the final part of the review. I already reviewed The New Hope and Shadow of the Empire, so now, time to wrap up this review, this Star Wars Trilogy review, by reviewing Return of the Jedi. Now, I just watched this, and I have to say, it pretty much put a tie into everything around going on, and they finally got to the part where Luke finally tells Leia that she is his sister. And she said that she had a feeling about it in the beginning. If she had a feeling about it, why the hell did he kiss Luke in the beginning of the second movie? Now, I know some of you are going to be saying she only did that just to make Han jealous, and Han doesn't even know that they're both brother and sister, but damn. Anyway, back to the thing. It picked up where it left off, where Han Solo is now stealing the frozen bicarbonate, and all of a sudden, R2-D2 and C-3PO showed up in Jabba the Hutt's place. And some of you remember what I did on Jabba the Hutt. I just like making fun of Jabba the Hutt. Him and his nipple pinche. Man, he looks like an obese frog if you ask me. But hey, he's a lot better than Pizza the Hutt from Spaceballs. My grandma cannot stand Pizza the Hutt because she said the first time she saw him, it looked like somebody just barfed pizza all over him. Ugh. Anyway, C-3PO and R2-D2 meet Jabba the Hutt and told him that Luke Skywalker, known as the Last Jedi, is going to show up and make a deal with Jabba the Hutt. And Jabba the Hutt, being so big, fat, and arrogant, going like, Skywalker, And then all of a sudden, out comes Chewbacca chained up by another bounty hunter. And of course, it's Princess Leia in disguise. And since they finally imprisoned Chewbacca, you start noticing that Orlando Calrissian is in disguise as one of the guards. And then Jabba the Hutt wanted to continue on the party, and everybody starts dancing and such. And there was this one green Twi'lek girl. Of course, that's one scene that did bother me there. There is this green Twi'lek slave. I think her name was Olo or Olgalu, or I can't pronounce her name. I mean, I saw another Twi'lek who is like kind of sky blue, pale sky blue white, or something like whatever color she is, and she's just a backup singer. And I also saw Jabba the Hutt. I mean, not Jabba the Hutt. I mean Boba Fett, the most famous bounty hunter, which I'm going to get to him soon. One of the most famous bounty hunters in Star Wars history. Anyway, back to the thing. After the whole party was, and of course, one thing Jabba the Hutt done, he was pushing that green Twi'lek girl towards him, and she keeps trying to resist him. So he turned on the trap door, and she gets eaten by some giant, ugly, flesh-eating monster. And you don't see it, but you can hear her scream because she's being eaten. It made me wish I would have jumped in that dungeon and battle against the monster and save the girl. But you know me, I'm always heroic. And some of you start to notice, I always have a soft spot for hot or beautiful female alien characters. Because every time when I see a bad guy kill a female alien character, I'm like, this is unacceptable! Between rape and murder of our kind of species, killing female aliens who are innocent is something I will not tolerate! And now some of you will be talking to me, Michael, calm down. And I'm like, Have you ever fallen in love with a female alien before? And if some of you are saying no, then you never understand. Anyway, back to the thing. Leia, who is disguised as that bounty hunter who brought Chewbacca over, she finally frees Han, but he's temporarily blind. He can't see. But it was a trap. I know you were expecting to hear me say that, but I'm going to say the most famous one soon. Alright, for those of you fans, it's a trap! Anyway, back to the thing. Han Solo finally got out of that frozen carbonite, and he was like, "Who are you? I can't see." And then she takes off her helmet and says, "Somebody who loves you." He was like, "Leia, I can't see." But it's only temporarily. He'll see soon. But it was a big trap, and now, Jabba the Hutt decided to throw Han into the dungeon with Chewbacca, while Leia, they put her into a slave outfit and have her chained next to him so he can keep her around as a sex slave. And that was one thing I start noticing. I mean, seeing Princess Leia in that slave outfit, I mean, every die-hard Star Wars fan always liked to see their girlfriend dressed up as Leia in her slave outfit. Yeah, I don't like that. I'm not really interested in Leia, especially in her slave outfit. Now, I mean, being a die-hard sci-fi nut, I wouldn't like my girlfriend to dress up as Leia. I'd rather have my girlfriend dressed up as... I like to have my girlfriend dressed up as Aayla Secura than Princess Leia. Because I'm more attracted to women who make themselves look like a sexy alien. I guess it's one of my things, I guess. Can't help it. But anyway, back to the thing. All of a sudden, Luke Skywalker showed up, and Jabba the Hutt put him in a trap door, and he meets the alien. And there are those big pig-like aliens. Now, that's one thing I gotta tell you. I had a dream that I was a Jedi, and one of those green pig guys became my master, and I was the apprentice. And of course, one thing I remember in my dream, I started surfing on the lightsaber. I mean, I turn on the lightsaber, but instead of fighting, I hop on it and I surf. In my dream, I went like surfing lightsaber, bum 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 bum. But of course, that was a dream I had. A lot better than that one dream a friend of mine said that I offer the role in a Star Wars movie, and I'm playing Kylo Ren, and I was trying on the costume. That was his dream. That means I'll be replacing the actor who played Kylo Ren, so I'll be replacing what's his head, who played Kylo Ren in the movie. Anyway, back in the dream. Back on the thing, not dream. Back on the thing. Luke Skywalker was smart enough to battle against that evil alien that he finally grabbed a skull, hit the button, and the door landed right on top of the monster and died. And he was gone. But they captured him and decided to give him another punishment. Toss him over to one of those monster Dune. Wait a minute, Dune? Does that mean if somebody's trying to do a crossover theory of Dune and Star Wars? Nah, no, I don't think that's gonna work. The Force is one thing, but the spice? I think I should continue on watching that TV series of Dune and review the Dune franchise one of these days. I know some of you guys will be interested. Anyway, back in the thing. There's these sands with this giant alien mouth that eats people and they be digested for 100 years. Huh. And then all of a sudden, R2-D2 tossed a lightsaber to Luke, grabbed it, battled, and Leia choking Jabba the Hutt, and they finally made their escape. And now it's time to go to the final battle. And they ended up on Endor, where you see all these cute little critters roaming about. And here's a little known fact. Did you know that one of the Ewoks is played by Warwick David, the one who played Willow in the movie Willow? And this here is another George Lucas movie, except this one was more of a fantasy and less of science fiction. I always thought Star Wars is more of a fantasy anyway than science fiction. Yeah, I know some of you are going to be booing on me about this, but just hear me out. The Force, the light side and the dark side of the Force, the Force is another term of magic. And the only thing in science fiction about it are the aliens, the lasers, the starships, and the droids. Those are the only science fiction thing in the franchise. And the other thing that is more of a fantasy is the Force. It's another term of magic. Of course, that's my theory. But you can make it any way you want. Anyway, now the Ewoks. Oh, and here's the Ewoks, those cute little critters right there. And they think that C-3PO is their god. And now they decided to help the rebellion while Orlando is flying the Millennium Falcon. And of course, Luke Skywalker went to Yoda for his final training, and Yoda was getting really old, that he is dying, so he let him go peacefully. And then he talked to Obi-Wan Kenobi, the ghost of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and of course saying that famous line about Darth Vader, "He's more machine now than man, more evil than you ever imagined." And then the Emperor shows up in this new Death Star that it's under repair. So now the rebellion are trying to go into the to the new Death Star in order to blow that one up like they did with the first one. But of course, it was the Emperor who gave them the coordination, but it's heavily guarded. And Admiral Akbar, the fish guy, saying, "It's a trap!" While at the same time, Luke Skywalker confronting Vader and the Emperor. And of course, here comes the famous sword fight between Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. And of course from the rebellion with the help of the with the Ewoks and Chewbacca helping them out, they've been taking the stormtrooper down one by one. And of course, while Luke is sword fighting against Darth Vader, he finally struck his final blow by cutting his hand off. But of course, he's starting to see what Obi-Wan said. He was more machine now than man. And he kept on thinking about his hand when Darth Vader cut off his hand in the second one. And of course, he told the Emperor that he'll never get into the dark side. Because he is a Jedi, like his father, Anakin Skywalker. And of course, the Emperor doing his full power! And of course, Darth Vader start noticing how evil that they will kill his son. That's when he starts changing his heart and going like, "No!" And then grabs the Emperor, hoists him up, and tosses him into the cliffs. And now he is dying because electricity got into his body. And of course, the rebel ship finally got to the energy side of the Death Star, and about ready to destroy it. And of course, when Luke Skywalker was about ready to take his father into his ship and get out of there, he wanted to see his son without the helmet, so he removed his helmet. Now, I have the action figure just to show you for spoilers here. This is what Darth Vader looks like without his helmet. And I was kind of surprised what he looked like under that helmet. I mean, on the backside, I thought he was like Robert De Niro from Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, all scarred up and such. But actually, he looks more like this. And he also told Luke that he was very proud of him, that he didn't join the dark side like he did. And of course, he gave him a proper burial by burning his body. And since the Death Star is finally destroyed, now they finally celebrate. Now here's the ending. I have a huge problem. A huge, huge, huge problem. When Luke Skywalker was staring out in the distance, and of course Leia told Han Solo that Luke is her brother. So now Han is like, oh, so you two are brother and sisters. You two are not really into each other. Okay. So now he might marry the princess, of course. Marry Princess Leia. But as for Luke, he was looking out in the distance and he saw the ghosts of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda and Anakin. But it's not the same Anakin I remember from the old one. They use Hayden Christensen as the ghost of Anakin. Why? Just why? I heard they did the one where they put Natalie Portman in it, but that was unnecessary. But why Hayden Christensen? Why? It's a stupid thing to do. I mean, I like the original, where they had the original, old-looking Anakin Skywalker, and not Hayden Christensen Anakin Skywalker, but this Anakin Skywalker I remember from the old movie. I mean, I'm not saying that Hayden Christensen is a bad actor. It's just having him replacing old man Anakin. It's just insulting. Very insulting. They shouldn't have done that. Between Han shoot first that I remember in the old movies instead of Greedo shoot first, and that whole McClunky thing, but putting Hayden Christensen at the end of the movie is just, it's retarded. It's just really, really retarded. They shouldn't have put that there. Well, this is Return of the Jedi, ladies and gentlemen, and that's about it. But not for long. There's a lot of things I remember that I didn't mention that now I'm finally going to talk about. Now, there were a lot of video games of Star Wars back then, but the only thing close enough to a video game that I have, that I did try and like, I remember in Soul Calibur 4, it had Darth Vader, and you can order Yoda in this game. And this character, who's going to be the main character in this video game I played, Star Wars The Force Unleashed, where you play this character named Starkiller. And it's a really awesome game, and this character is pretty cool. You can unlock all certain types of Force abilities and choose whatever color lightsaber you can choose, and any design of his clothing if you beat the game. And in every ending, you can choose if you're going to be a good guy or a bad guy at the end. And of course, I also played its sequel, Force Unleashed Part 2, which is really good itself. I got this collector's edition of it. It was pretty fun. Too bad I didn't get the hard drive it came along with it. But one movie I did enjoy, was this, Fanboys. This one is sort of a story based. It's about these die-hard Star Wars fan. They decided to break into George Lucas's home to see Star Wars Episode 1, the one which started all the prequels. It's a really good movie, and it's pretty cool to see Christine Bell in her slave Leia outfit. And I was kind of shocked to see William Shatner in this movie, giving him the information at George Lucas's mansion. But why did they have to make the Trekkie look stupid? I'm a Trekkie. Do I look like a nerd? Do I look all geeky? Why do they always have to make every Trekkie look so geeky? I've seen better looking Trekkies who look way better. Even some of the girls who are Trekkies, like my grandma, they turn out to be, most of the girls who dressed up as Trekkies, they were pretty hot. But all in all, this was a good movie. But I still wish I had this PC game of the New Republic. The Old Republic. Yeah, forget about the Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. I prefer to play this instead. The Old Republic, where it's a role-playing game, and in this you can choose to be a Sith or a Jedi, and you can create your own character and choose what you're going to do. Are you going to be with the good guys or be with the bad guys? And the ending is up to you. Because I would like to play this. It might be a lot more fun than Mass Effect. Sadly, it's PC and not PS3. And of course, I remember that they made a couple of side movies of Star Wars, like Star Wars Rogue One, where it's supposed to take place between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. Haven't seen it, so I don't know what I can make it. And the one that a lot of people say it's forgotten, but there's a lot of diehard fans who still love it. Star Wars Solo. It's a backstory to Han Solo's origin, where it's supposed to tell exactly what Han Solo been through before he met Obi-Wan Kenobi in the bar. And of course, after the Clone Wars, Disney decided to make an animated series where it takes place after the Clone Wars called Star Wars Rebels. And they brought back that one alien girl, which I do seem to like. I think she's a pretty cool character in the Clone Wars. And even I do like the romance between our main character here and that Twilight girl. It's a Twilight thing I have. And one thing about Boba Fett was the coolest character in the Star Wars franchise because he's a bounty hunter, and he's pretty awesome, really kick-ass. And a lot of people do talk about making a Boba Fett movie where it talks about his history, but sadly, Disney Plus made a series where there's a character who looks like Boba Fett but turned out to be a good guy, and it is Mandalorian, which I hear a lot of praise about this series. It's a really awesome Star Wars series they're making so far. But one thing I like about this series, I can't get over how adorable Baby Yoda looks. Oh, he's so cute. He's so adorable. He just, so adorable. And after seeing what happened on Revenge of the Sith, it made me want to make my own fan-made Star Wars, and I drew a picture called Star Wars from Sith to Jedi. And I liked the picture so much that I decided to digitalize it, and believe it or not, I made this. Star Wars from Sith to Jedi. And I met a friend of mine named Jericho. He makes his own fan-made videos of Han Solo, and he seems to like this picture a lot that he wants to make it for me. Well, I just started the script, but as soon as I'm done with my Doctor Who and my Cluedo audio drama, I might get this started. Because I'm very busy with all the script writing I've been doing lately. I'm a very, very busy guy. One thing I heard about a new video game they made is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which I heard a lot about this game. They say it's pretty awesome, a lot better than The Force Unleashed. But I'd rather play The Old Republic myself. And of course, one thing I would have to mention, ever since George Lucas made a deal with Disney here, and also Disney owned Marvel, they finally got back and made the Star Wars Marvel comics, and forget whatever happened at Dark Horse. I mean, they're just forgetting everything what happened at Dark Horse and just make up their own stories in the Marvel comics now. Does that mean that Star Wars will cross over to the Guardians of the Galaxy? No, I don't think that will happen. I mean, it would be a cold day in hell before they decide to make that. I know somebody made this. Mickey being the Emperor. I prefer the robe he wore in Kingdom Heart. He looks a lot better in that look.
Ha! Welcome! Join the dark side of the Sith! Ha!
And one thing I do remember, back then when Star Wars used to be owned by Fox before Disney, Seth MacFarlane, he was a huge die-hard Star Wars fan, and he made these parodies. Family Guy Star Wars New Blue Harvest, Something Something Dark Side, and It's a Trap! Yeah, that's right, I play Han Solo on this one. I play Luke Skywalker. And I play Darth Vader. It's so fun! Hi, I'm Brian, and I play Chewbacca, except this time I talk. Anyway, this is the end of my Star Wars review. So, for those of you who like my Star Wars Trilogy review, please leave a comment down below, hit like and subscribe. Oh yeah, and rest in peace for Sam Boyer. I mentioned it in my first review, and I want to end it at the end of this review. Rest in peace, Sam. And thank you for watching. Now, if I can get my lightsaber back into my sonic screwdriver, I... What? Oh. Huh. So long, folks.